Epictetus believed that true happiness and peace of mind are within anyone's reach, even when everything seems to be going wrong. But let's be honest, this idea can seem impossible to achieve when we're facing illness, relationship problems, betrayals, or going through a political crisis like we are now. How can we find calm in the midst of so much pain and uncertainty? The Stoic answer is straightforward and blunt. We cannot let external factors control our emotions. With clear and no-nonsense words, Epictetus challenges us to free ourselves from everything that afflicts us. His teachings don't offer an easy path. On the contrary, they require courage to face our deepest fears and limitations. Finding true peace means letting go of everything that imprisons us, a freedom that cannot be negotiated. In this video, we'll understand the origin of our suffering and provide a step-by-step guide to overcome these challenges, proving that the longed-for peace of mind is indeed a goal that is achievable for all of us. Part 1. The story of the slave philosopher. Epictetus's life is a great example that true freedom comes from within. Imagine a man who was born into slavery in ancient Hierapolis, now Turkey, around 50 AD, and had the audacity to seek knowledge, even when he didn't have the most basic rights. From an early age, he realized that wisdom was the key to escaping any prison, whether physical or emotional. Even before gaining his freedom, Epictetus immersed himself in philosophy, finding in it not only solace, but also a powerful tool for transformation. In Rome, he became a student of Musonius Rufus, one of the greatest Stoic masters, who taught him that true greatness lies in controlling our emotions and the strength of our desires. When Emperor Domitian expelled philosophers from Rome, Epictetus didn't let that defeat him. In Nicopolis, he founded a school that became a reference for those seeking a life of more balance and courage. His teachings, recorded by his faithful disciple Arian, have survived through the centuries and continue to impact those looking for a practical philosophy for daily life. Epictetus spoke in simple, clear terms, encouraging us to find freedom not in external circumstances but in mastering our impulses and emotions. For him, philosophy was something to be lived every day, a constant battle against our instincts that make us react without thinking. It wasn't enough to just understand the teachings. They had to be applied in every action, transforming pain and difficulties into learning and growth. Following this path of self-knowledge and overcoming isn't easy. It takes courage to face our own fears, abandon old habits, and change the way we see the world. Epictetus's proposal is a challenging invitation to question our actions, overcome the limits society imposes on us, and above all, find true peace of mind. Let's explore more about how to walk this path based on the Stoic teachings, especially Epictetus's, about the roots of our problems and sufferings. But before we continue, if this is your first time on the channel, please subscribe, like the video, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any content. Each video is designed to help you improve your life. Part 2. Desire and aversion. Imagine a peaceful day when everything seems to be going well. Suddenly something unexpected happens, and your mood changes completely. It could be a scene on the street or some news that comes out of nowhere, triggering negative emotions. What really causes this shift isn't just the event itself, but how you interpret it. Stoics teach that the impact of a situation depends on the value we assign to it. In other words, what we feel is more connected to how we view things than to what is actually happening. For example, imagine losing a sum of money that you had carefully saved. In the end, it's just a financial value. But to you, that money represented something much bigger: security, dreams, stability. The pain you feel isn't in the money itself, but in the meaning it held in your life. Similarly, think about how many people react when they see a rat or a cockroach. For many, these animals quickly become symbols of danger or filth, even though, most of the time, they don't pose a real threat. The fear or disgust we feel comes from the value we assign to them, something shaped by our experiences and the culture around us. Our mind has the habit of forming opinions quickly. When something new arises, we automatically judge whether it's safe or dangerous, pleasant or unpleasant. A simple example: a chocolate cake attracts us with its delicious smell, while the sight of a rat or cockroach might make us recoil. These reactions come from thought patterns we've built over our lives, influenced by our culture, experiences, and the teachings we received at home, school, or work. But these quick judgments are not always right, and don't always lead us to make good decisions. Often we react without thinking, letting automatic emotions drag us into negative feelings. But what if you could take a moment before acting? Imagine feeling fear or anger, and instead of reacting immediately, stopping to ask yourself, is this emotion coming from a real danger, or is it just my mind reacting on autopilot? That simple pause could change the way you deal with everyday challenges. True freedom isn't about not feeling anything, but having the courage to question your emotions and turn every impulse into an opportunity to learn. Think about the last time you had an argument at work. Maybe a colleague said something that bothered you, or you were ignored in an important meeting. Anger came instantly, and the urge to respond immediately to defend yourself was strong. But if you take a deep breath and think for a moment, you may realize that the situation wasn't as serious as it seemed. Maybe it was a misunderstanding, and what bothered you wasn't the other person's behavior, but the fear of being criticized. This pause not only helps maintain your inner peace, but also prevents unnecessary arguments. That way you act according to your values, rather than being swept up by your emotions in the heat of the moment. Here are some tips for changing the way you react. When you feel a strong emotion, pause for a moment and notice what's happening inside you. Is it fear, anger, desire, or something else? Then, ask yourself, is this a real danger, or is it just my mind reacting automatically? Finally, choose how to act based on what truly matters to you, instead of reacting without thinking. It may seem simple, but this practice has a huge impact on your life. When you learn to give yourself time to understand your emotions, you avoid impulsive reactions and gain more control over your actions. Desires and fears are just responses from our minds. As Epictetus taught, what really matters is how we choose to deal with these emotions. When we reassess our interpretations and make space for a more conscious response, we can see situations more clearly. Next time you feel an intense emotion, whether it's something that would normally scare you or a strong desire, remember to pause. Take a deep breath, question whether it's really a threat or just your mind reacting automatically, and choose to act based on your values. With this practice, you build an inner peace that can last forever. By adopting this mindset, you stop being a hostage to automatic judgments and start seeing situations for what they truly are. This changes your choices and, consequently, your life. Part 3. The origin of suffering. Think about the power of our desires and fears. They aren't enemies, but powerful energies that, if well directed, can turn into something positive. Epictetus teaches us that it's not the desires or aversions that move us away from well-being, but how we handle them. When we focus on what's within our control and align our desires with our ability to act, we create space for real change. Imagine having a conversation with a friend. They disagree with you, and anger arises. This feeling comes from a deep desire, the desire to be understood and to be right. But what if, instead of getting lost in the conflict, you chose to spend your energy on what you can actually control? Instead of being swept up in anger, you could focus on explaining your point of view clearly, without expecting the other person to agree right away. In that moment, you realize that your peace doesn't depend on what the other person thinks, but on how you choose to react. Stoicism teaches us to live in harmony with nature, which means living with wisdom. For Stoics, virtue is the only true good, and vice is the only real evil. No matter what happens around us, the essential part lies in our choice, in how we decide to act at every moment. When we direct our desires towards what truly matters and avoid what can harm us, we take control of our lives. Now, imagine you work hard and value recognition, but a colleague gets credit for your idea. Frustration arises right away. You might spend days dwelling on the injustice, letting resentment grow. But what if, instead, you simply let go of that weight? When you understand that the recognition from others doesn't define your worth, you free yourself. This freedom allows you to focus on what truly matters, your growth and learning, without holding on to unnecessary grudges. The problem arises when we place our happiness in things we can't control. Epictetus warns us, if our peace depends on external factors like money, status, health, or even the people we love, we are vulnerable to life's changes, and life is unpredictable. If we hand our well-being over to chance, any problem can take our peace away. But when we learn to find strength within ourselves, we become unshakable. Think about a common moment, like when a plan changes unexpectedly. Imagine you were excited about a trip, and at the last minute, it gets canceled. You might feel frustrated about it, or you could see it another way, as an opportunity to spend time differently. If you believe that only this trip could make you happy, you suffer. But when you learn to let go, you find the freedom to live in the present. Epictetus invites us to apply this reflection in the most difficult situations in life, especially when it involves the people we love the most: friends, children, partners. Suffering often arises from an intense attachment to these relationships, precisely because we know that one day we may lose them. The love we feel for these people is immense, but that same intensity makes us vulnerable. We want them to stay by our side forever, to return our affection, and to never be taken from us. But this strong bond can become a problem, because the more we cling, the more we suffer from the possibility of loss. Losing someone dear, whether it's a child, a partner, or a close friend, leaves a mark that time may ease, but it can never completely erase. Our desire to keep these people close and the fear of losing them go hand in hand. And no matter how much we love someone, we don't have control over fate. Real suffering arises when we place too much value on something beyond our control. If we understand this, we can live with greater emotional ease. This idea is not a cold or distant recommendation, but a sincere invitation to rethink our relationships and seek an inner freedom that allows us to enjoy love in the present. Letting go of desires and fears might seem difficult, but it's in this effort, this courage to accept what we can't control, that we find our true strength. The challenge is to transform the weight of our emotions into something positive, rather than letting them dominate us. Each time we choose to focus on what is truly within our reach, we take a step toward a more authentic, fuller life, and above all, a life free from unnecessary suffering. When we concentrate our energy on what we can change, we increase our mental capacity to handle any situation. This ability is not a privilege of the few, but is available to anyone. When tough moments come, remember that true strength isn't in what happens around you, but in how you react. Every challenge, no matter how complicated, is an opportunity to strengthen your resilience and reaffirm your commitment to virtue. Just as a river flows around rocks and obstacles, you can use your emotions as a drive for growth, always seeking the peace that comes from self-awareness. Life teaches us that nothing lasts forever, not even pain. When we accept that losses and difficulties are part of the journey, we create space to feel gratitude for the small joys and lessons that each day brings. By letting go of the need to control what can't be controlled, we discover true freedom. A freedom that encourages us to live with courage, authenticity, and the certainty that every experience, no matter how difficult it may seem, contributes to our growth and maturity. Part 4. Internal transformation. For Stoics, true change begins within us, in the way we think, not by trying to control the world or the people around us. When we adjust our minds to see things clearly, we find a peace that withstands the challenges of daily life and a deeper connection with life. Epictetus teaches us that, to free ourselves from anxiety, excessive desire, and fear, we need to learn to see reality as it really is. What affects us isn't the events themselves, but how we react to them. As simple as this may sound, putting it into practice is a great challenge. Think about the stress of being stuck in traffic. You're surrounded by impatient drivers, and suddenly, irritation arises. Thoughts like, they should be driving faster, or why are they driving so badly, take over your mind, increasing the stress. When we try to control what can't be controlled, it's like swimming against a current. The more we resist, the more we drown. When we accept that traffic and life are full of unpredictability, we make space for calm. Epictetus challenges us to look at the world with more acceptance. Instead of clinging too much to things or people, he reminds us that nothing is permanent. Everything changes, and this shouldn't be a reason for sadness, but for freedom. Think about your favorite mug. It has special value, but in the end, it's just an object. If it ever breaks, it doesn't erase the good moments you shared with it. In fact, it teaches us to appreciate each moment. The same goes for the love we feel for someone, whether it's a child, partner, or friend. It's deep and real, but also fleeting. True freedom isn't about avoiding changes, but accepting them and finding peace within ourselves. Understanding that everything changes all the time doesn't weaken love. In fact, it makes it more real and free from the illusion that we can control it. This idea doesn't suggest coldness or indifference, nor does it mean we should love our partners, family, or friends any less. In practice, Epictetus's teaching encourages us to abandon the illusion of absolute control over what's around us. True peace comes when we stop desperately clinging to the things and people we love most. It's a path of courage, an act of trust in reality, leading us to a steady tranquility capable of facing any difficulty. To put this change into action, try following these steps. First, See reality as it is. Observe events without automatic judgments, allowing reason to reveal what's really happening. Second, accept that everything passes. Both difficult and happy moments don't last forever. For this reason, they should be lived with gratitude and attention. Third, learn to go with the flow of life. By letting go of the need to control what doesn't depend on you, life becomes lighter and more natural, allowing each experience to contribute to your personal growth. By changing the way we think, we begin to see life differently. Instead of fighting against the current, we learn to go with it, understanding that challenges aren't enemies, but opportunities for learning and growth. This new perspective helps us realize that chaos and order go hand in hand, and true calm comes when we accept what we cannot change. This frees us from the constant need to control and teaches us to appreciate each moment, even the uncertain and turbulent ones. Every situation, no matter how difficult it may seem, can be a chance to practice patience, gratitude, and emotional resilience. When we accept that everything changes, we suffer less and find more peace because we understand that we're part of something bigger, always evolving. The journey of inner change invites us to live more authentically, accepting both the beauty and imperfections of the world. It doesn't mean ignoring or hiding emotions, but recognizing them as fleeting and full of lessons. When we let reason and acceptance guide our decisions, we build a more balanced life, where true freedom lies in the courage to face the unexpected with calm and confidence. Part 5. Building your inner peace. When we understand that everything around us, difficult people, relationships that disappoint, the loss of a loved one, and even aging, happens exactly as it's meant to, we begin to open our hearts to acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean being passive, but rather freeing ourselves from anguish and embracing what we can't change. It's important to understand that acceptance isn't just about enduring problems as if they were unavoidable injustices. Acceptance means recognizing reality. It's about realizing that, even though some situations are painful, many of them are beyond our control. Instead of wasting energy clinging to what can't be changed, the secret lies in focusing on what is within our power. Think of the story of an athlete who suffers a serious injury and sees their dream of competing threatened. They could despair, lament, and sink into frustration, but if they choose to see the injury as a new beginning, they will focus on what they can control: their recovery, mental strength, and preparation for the future. By choosing not to dwell on what they've lost, they find a new, deeper purpose. What defines their identity is not the competition, but their ability to rise again, reinvent themselves, and turn pain into strength. Stoic teachings remind us that true wisdom lies in improving what we can without letting anger or fear dictate our actions. Imagine how it would feel to approach each situation with clarity and calm, without reacting with tension or bitterness. True balance lies in facing challenges serenely, without losing our essence. Now, the big question is, how can we find peace in the face of the pain of loss, without letting it destroy us? Epictetus, with his transformative view on acceptance, teaches us that the difficulty in accepting life as it is comes from our attempt to impose our desires on what we can't change. He proposes a new way of looking at things. Instead of fighting reality, we can direct our energy toward accepting the natural flow of life. As he said, don't ask for things to happen the way you want them to, but wish for them to happen the way they do, and you will find peace. This simple yet deeply powerful lesson shows us that when we stop insisting that everything should go our way and let go of frustrated expectations, we make space for true inner peace. And the tranquility we seek doesn't come from trying to control everything around us, but from accepting things as they are. Think of a relationship where you expect your partner to change. Maybe you've had several conversations about something they do, but the behavior doesn't change. Frustration builds, and you try to influence that change, believing it will solve the situation. However, by trying to force the other person to act differently, you end up creating even more conflict and distance. On the other hand, when you understand that you can't control the other person's actions, you can focus your energy on improving your own response. This shift in mindset, though challenging at first, brings great relief and a deep sense of peace. You can start tuning into the flow of life with a few simple steps. First, recognize what's beyond your control. Many events are beyond our reach, and insisting that everything goes the way we want only drains our energy. In a relationship, this means understanding that you can't change the other person, but you can choose how to respond to their actions. Second, adjust your expectations. Instead of wanting reality to fit your desires, learn to accept things as they truly are. True acceptance begins at this point. And third, cultivate calm. When your reactions align with the natural flow of life, you free yourself from unnecessary tension and build a solid foundation for living more lightly and contributing to a more balanced environment. Today, try releasing inner resistance. Allow yourself to accept what is without trying to force reality to bend to your will. By doing this, you will discover the serenity you've been seeking and strengthen your ability to act with clarity and balance, no matter life's uncertainties. If you've made it this far, leave your comment on track, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching.